We have made several trips now out to Mecca, California to take on the popular hike known as Ladder Canyon. It seems like whenever we're there, we'll hear someone talking about the more challenging side trail called Rope Canyon. With the added difficulty of this hike, we figured that this would be a perfect trip for the adventure crew. So we headed down the washboard-covered sandy road one more time to check it out. After putting on a pretty healthy amount of sunscreen, it was time to hit the trail. Please note that we will be doing the trail in reverse today. That means we will be going down all of the ropes. If you are wanting to climb the ropes instead, you're going to make a left at the fork when you see the orange arrows and the word danger. This is about 1/10 of a mile from the parking lot. Since we were doing the hike backwards, we were going to follow the giant arrow just like we would if we were doing the regular Ladder Canyon trail. This hike is extremely weather sensitive. We filmed this on April 11th, and when we got back to the car at right around noon, it was already 94 degrees. The slot canyons will give you some shade, but there are a lot of exposed areas as well. The other thing you need to watch out for is flash floods. If it is raining here or anywhere in the near distance, do not attempt this hike. Flash floods can come from miles away, so be sure to check the weather before you go. One of the cool benefits of doing the reverse route is that you get to do some of my favorite parts of the Ladder Canyon hike along the way. We had decided to go in reverse because someone on AllTrails had reported that the last rope on the way up had been damaged. Coming in at right around 20 feet, this is also the highest rope, so you definitely don't want to take a fall from this one. Going this way gave us the opportunity to approach it from the top, inspect it, and then decide if we wanted to go or not. This section of the trail is extremely easy to follow. Since you're in a slot canyon, it's pretty much impossible for you to get lost. After one final ladder, the canyon opens up and you are back out in the sun. We were definitely surprised by how much the temperature shot up as soon as we left the shade of the slot canyon. After snaking our way through the sandy wash, we finally came to the left turn that forks off of Ladder Canyon Trail. This is where things can get a little bit tricky. As the wash narrows, you need to take the trail on the left that goes up this hill. We were super lucky that not only had V done her research on this trail, but this group is just pretty darn good at figuring out hard to read trails. The hill is not very long, but it is covered in some pretty good sized rocks, so be sure to watch your step as you climb. You're going to end up on a ridge that overlooks the canyon that you just came through. It's not as good as the view from the top of Ladder Canyon, but it's still a nice spot to stop and catch your breath. Almost immediately after leaving the ridge, you're going to be dropping right back down into another canyon. I know that it's pretty much a given and I say it in almost every hiking video, but shoes with good traction will make your life easier on this hike. You can definitely tell that the trail was intended to be done in the other direction because the way the markings are, it doesn't help you a whole lot. But once you get into the sandy wash, just stay in it and you'll end up at the ropes. Somehow along the way we came up with a new game called Let's See How Many Rocks We Can Put in V's Camelback Before She Notices. If anyone out there wants to try and beat the current world record, you're gonna have to get more than 4. After a nice stroll through the wash, we arrived at the first rope, which happens to be the big 20-footer. After inspecting the rope and the webbing, which I must say are all really well done, On, being the canyoneering master that he is, offered to go first. Even though the drop is pretty good size, there are a lot of indentions in the rock that you can use to put your feet on. This definitely helps so that you're not supporting your entire body weight with your hands the whole entire time. It's probably a good idea to send the strongest person in your group down first so they can call out the foot pockets for everyone else in the group. And just in case you were wondering, we let V know about the rock game so she could get rid of the extra weight before it was her turn. It was kind of funny because I thought with our canyoneering experience that this would be a walk in the park. We regularly rappel off of cliffs that are 6 or 7 times higher than this one. But there was something about not being physically attached to the rope like we are when we're canyoneering that made this experience pretty dang exciting. As much fun as it was, we all breathed a small sigh of relief once we were done with the big rope. But we knew we still had 3 ropes to go. Rope Canyon has so many fun features that I almost don't know if you can consider it a hike anymore. It's almost more like an obstacle course. I would definitely say not to bring a large backpack with you. My click bag is pretty small and I still had to take it off a couple of times to squeeze through some of the tighter spots. After you get out of the cave, it's a fairly simple walk over to the second rope with exception of this small drop, but as you can see, this is nothing challenging. The second rope is pretty easy as well. It's fairly short and I feel like you could almost slide down it, but it's probably a little easy on your legs if you do use it. After you finish this short one, you'll have 2 ropes down and 2 left to go. If you're doing the Rope Canyon loop like we are doing here, you can expect a distance of 2.1 miles. But with all the physical exertion of the ropes and everything else, it seems like a much more substantial hike. This was a sort of tricky spot right here. It was just a little higher than I prefer to jump from, and we ended up having to come up with some pretty creative ways to get V and Natalie down. This will bring you to the last two ropes, which are back to back. The second rope is higher, but the first one is actually trickier because it's really narrow at the top. The first rope also drops you down onto a very small platform, so be sure that you land on it, otherwise you're going to fall down another 2 or 3 feet. After you finish with this one, you are officially onto the last rope of the day. It is pretty good size and a little bit on the intimidating side, but this one is actually pretty simple. There's a ton of good places to put your feet on the way down, and the sandstone here is really nice and grippy. One by one, our epic group of adventurers made their way down the last rope with ease. Even though the vast majority of the challenging aspects of Rogue Canyon are done at this point, you still have a few more obstacles between you and the car. All you have left is one short tunnel, some very narrow passageways that you're most likely going to have to take your backpack off to get through, and a couple of boulders that you have to squeeze under. The girls made it under the boulder pretty easily, but I'll admit I almost got stuck. Even though the slot canyons here aren't smooth like the epic ones at places like Antelope Canyon, they're still really beautiful. Even though this is a fairly short hiking trail, something about these canyons just make it seem like it goes on forever. With the summer heat coming, I don't know if we're going to be heading back to Mecca anytime soon, but I would love to do this hike again and climb the ropes. If you plan on doing this hike, or any hike for that matter, be sure you bring plenty of water. For some reason, we always see people out on Ladder Canyon that don't have enough water. This is a super unforgiving environment and is definitely not a place where you'd want to be dehydrated. As soon as you see that danger painted on the wall again, all you have to do is make a right and you're practically back at the car. If you enjoy our adventures, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you get notified when we make new videos. Check us out on Instagram at @thatadventurelife_official. And for all the information about this hike and other awesome things to do in the area, head on over to thatadventurelife.com.